Thanks. Any books in the Christian life as we wrap up this section? Books in the Christian life that you found most helpful, you recommend the most? Favorite authors?
One of my favorite is Sinclair Ferguson. I recommend almost everything he writes, almost, because he's Presbyterian, I'm Baptist. We argue about those things. He's just a marvelous theologian. He's another one who I like to say is a theologian of the heart. A wonderful, wonderful Christian man and a wonderful expositor. He's got one book, it's called Know Your Christian Life. I think the new title is The Christian Life. And it's just a wonderful outline theologically of what the Christian life is from predestination to glorification. So foundationally, that's a great one. He has another one, though, called Children of the Living God, which is what is it to live as a child of God? And it's wonderful expositions for people.
Handy little books, too, aren't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're very usable. I've used them in church for reading groups with people. Been very helpful.
We really do have a rich heritage in English. It's hard even to know where to start because there is so much available that's out there. When our kids were young, we used the Catherine Voss children's Bible storybook. Now there's a better one by Sally Lloyd-Jones. No connection with Martin Lloyd-Jones. But that's a very good children's Bible story book. If our kids ever get married and have grandchildren, they will be getting some Sally Lloyd-Jones. And there's a new series that's been published as well that even goes through some of the fathers of the church. In my spiritual formation group at Trinity, for some reason, we've got 7 couples this year that are producing babies during the school year. Unbelievable. And for each of them, my wife makes them some frilly thing or other for the baby, and we buy them a couple of books. And the books are children's books of one sort or another. There's even some on the church fathers. There's a little children's book on Ignatius, another one on Athanasius, and so on, so on, so on. We give those things away, too, to start families off in serious reading and so on. And then I remember having a dinner maybe 10 years ago with Jim Packer, J.I. Packer, who wrote Knowing God. And that book has just sold and sold and sold and sold over the years. And I said to him one day, why do you think it has sold so well? He said, because people don't realize it, but it's essentially a book of Christian spirituality. That was very insightful. You see, it's really a book on the doctrine of God in little short, chippy chapters, but on the other hand, also warmly written that if you get your doctrine of God sorted out, then it feeds your soul and nurtures you and so on. It's really a book on Christian spirituality that begins with God. Instead of beginning with me and my experiences, it begins with God and shows you the entailments. So that's another book to throw into the pot for, And then there are classics like Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress and things like that too, that every Christian ought to read. And so the list of possible books in the area is just huge. For some people, if you're not bad readers, unless I begin to sound like a peddler, the 2 books For the Love of God can sometimes help people in Bible readings. I wrote them. But that's a weakness. The strength of the 2 books is that they're based on the Andrew Murray M'Cheyne Bible reading scheme. And Andrew Murray M'Cheyne was a Scottish pastor, died at the age of 29, and was known all over Scotland as the saintly Mr. M'Cheyne. And his Bible reading scheme then I've reproduced in those books, and it gives you a model of either 2 chapters a day or 4 chapters a day. If you read the 4 chapters a day model, then in the course of a year, you've read the New Testament and Psalms twice and the rest of the Old Testament once in the course of a year. And if you read 2 chapters a day with his scheme, then over 2 years you'll have done all of that. But the advantage of the scheme is that it's not going just consecutively. If you just go consecutively, sooner or later you're going to get 15 chapters of genealogies and chronicles, or you're going to go through the sacrificial system of Leviticus, and God bless you, you're not going to feel very sanctified. I mean, you eventually get enough training, but it's going to be discouraging, do you see? But on January 1, you're reading Genesis 1, Ezra 1, Matthew 1, and Acts 1. So you're reading constantly in both Testaments, you see, and you're beginning to see how things come together. And so Bible reading schemes like that can help you in your spirituality and spiritual.
And then you always write a 1-page commentary on one of those
That's right.
chapters.
I write a one-page commentary on one of the chapters of those readings.
Really helpful.
And so volume 1 is one column, volume 2 is another column, and volumes 3 and 4 are on the way as well. So eventually you'll be getting really a lot of devotional books are sort of a verse a day keeps the devil away sort of thing, with a verse here and a verse there. And you don't learn any biblical theology. But the point is, if you're reading the whole Bible in these large gasps with a meditation on the whole theology of the chapter, then you do that for 3 or 4 years, and you'll have picked up a great deal of biblical theology, just huge.
I saw my wife get very excited to hear that Volume 3 and Volume 4 are on the way.
Well, I say
She's
on
used
the
it for
way.
years.
I mean, the return of Christ is also imminent.